My name's Jemma. I am a graduate NVR parent and also an NVR practitioner now.
And I'm Rachael, Aylmer, and I'm an accredited NVR practitioner for partnership projects. And our relationship spans back for 3 years now.
It
does. Can you tell me a little bit, perhaps, about your relationship with your family back then and some of the difficulties that you were being faced with some of the behaviours?
We were, in all honesty, all very, very miserable at the time. Very, very stressed, 24 hours a day, because we had quite high levels of violence and aggression, and it was just a never-ending spiral, really.
And that violence was from?
From my eldest son. He was a very unhappy child.
What sort of services did you expect some help from?
I saw CAMS for help, and they thought he had anxiety, so they were trying to work with that. As a parent, that's very difficult to hear because you're faced with a very angry child, and you can just see anger and violence and not the anxiety that the professionals were seeing. So it's quite difficult to still go home to that every day.
So what type of behaviours did he produce to you in his anger and violence?
Threats, physically hurting me, threats to himself as well as me and his brother.
And how was that impacting on school life as well as home life?
Homework was a big trigger, which obviously if you don't do homework, it has a knock-on effect to school and grades and things. So that was, for me, it was really important to me that he did it, but I also knew that it would cause outbursts every single day.
How were you managing those outbursts? What were you doing in the moment?
Just kind of firefighting, just dealing with it what you can, when you can, trying to keep everybody safe, and feeling like every time I was failing.
Did you?
Yeah. Not knowing what to do that was right, because I was doing all the traditional styles of parenting. He was too big for the naughty step, but I had done that in the past, and consequences and rewards, but nothing was working.
So you said that feeling like a failure. So how was that impacting on your own esteem as a parent?
It was very, very low, and I was desperately asking for help from everyone, family, friends. Well, I say everyone, there was also that fear and shame, fear of being judged, fear that somebody would take my children away if they knew things were really tough.
And that judgment coupled with guilt?
Yes, a lot of guilt. All the questions, why is this happening? Am I a bad parent? Why is my child so angry, so upset? Anytime you're not with them, you spend questioning everything and how to make it right and how to make your child happy again.
So seeking out support from a service, from another organisation, and disclosing how you're really feeling, I think must have been
terrifying.
Big hurdle.
Yeah, massive hurdle.
So you were introduced to an approach called non-violent resistance.
Yes.
And can you share with me kind of your understanding from that initial introduction to it, and perhaps how you know it today?
I initially was introduced to it with CAMS on a one-to-one basis, and every time I went each week and learnt a bit more, I just thought, what is this shit? I did not think for a second it was going to work. I then went on to meet you and learn within a group, and still thought, this is a bunch of hippie shit. It wasn't going to work. But there were benefits to being in a group because I met other parents going through similar things and suddenly felt like I wasn't the only one struggling, which was huge.
Yeah.
To be able to come in and ask questions and say, be taught something and then be able to say, I don't agree, that's not going to work in my life, this situation won't work with that, and to be able to talk it through and make it really personal to me and my family and my children, made a big difference. However, I still thought it's not going to work.
So if I cast my mind back to that moment when the group had finished,
Yes.
that I invited you to London
Mm-hmm.
to sit with some colleagues who were learning at advanced level to be a part of an interview process. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I was in two minds about going because already I'd felt like NVR wasn't for us. It's just, nobody could help. And then I thought, well, I've got to give it my all. I've got to give, I owe it to my children to give them everything I can. So I came up to London with my partner and we met with you guys, and I left feeling again like, what on earth was that? That it was a complete waste of time. Then on the journey home, something changed. I think it was realising that this was down to me now. I had everything I could get, and it also helped knowing that it's helped people in worse situations than mine. Kind of gave me the faith that, okay, there's somewhere in here, there's got to be something that's going to work for us. If you can deal with more extreme behaviours, then it's got to work in my home. And then also remembering things people had said that day, reminding me that my child is still a child. He was presenting this very angry front, and it's hard to see the child behind that. But it was enough to kind of go, I can do this. I know why I'm doing this. I love my child and I want him to be happy and I want us all to be happy. And that was enough to give me the fuel to say, I'm going to give it everything now. And I did. When they are challenging, I kind of up my game more. So I will NVR majority of the time, say 75% of the time, but when they're more challenging, I up my game when I'm far more present, I'm far more involved in more areas of their life, and because I can see now that whatever the angry or I suppose abrupt, slightly aggressive behaviour now, if they're shouting and things, there's a reason behind it, and I'm intrigued to find out what that is. What can I do to help? Rather than firefighting, I come at it now with, here's your behaviour, okay, what do I do from the other side? Whereas before I was coming at it as I'm dealing with some angry behaviour, I'm dealing with someone kicking off, and I'm not now, I'm looking at that and going, what's behind, and how can I make this better for them?
So when you see yourself as this parent with so much more presence within your child's life, how does that feel for you?
I feel stronger.
Stronger.
A lot stronger. Before I was desperate and lost and kind of going, where's my answers? What do I do? How do I be a parent? And now I can confidently sit there. I don't have to say anything. I don't lecture and nag and try and reason and think, you've got to understand and then it'll all be okay. I can just sit there silently now, and my children will feel that presence of me just being in the room, which is powerful.